Sarah Chen never imagined that a typical Tuesday morning at Lucky Star Diner would alter the trajectory of her life forever. The 27-year-old single mother had perfected her routine over 3 years: arrive at 5 a.m., prep the coffee machines, wipe down the chrome-edged tables, and arrange perfectly folded napkins before the first wave of bleary-eyed commuters stumbled in seeking caffeine and comfort food. The late October morning brought an unusual chill, and fog pressed against the diner's windows like ghostly fingers. Sarah adjusted her nameplate, smoothed her apron, and watched the first rays of sunrise paint the city in hues of amber and gold. The diner, situated in the heart of downtown, had always been a melting pot of stories, from midnight truckers to early morning executives, each patron carrying their own tale. At precisely 6:47 a.m., while Sarah was refilling sugar dispensers, the bell above the door chimed. Through the entrance stumbled a disheveled man in a wrinkled black t-shirt and jeans, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. His beard was unkempt, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. Most wouldn't have given him a second glance, assuming he was just another weary traveler seeking refuge in hot coffee and scrambled eggs. Sarah approached his booth, with her usual warm smile, notepad ready. "Welcome to Lucky Star. Coffee to start?" The man nodded, barely looking up from his phone, which displayed complex technical diagrams Sarah couldn't comprehend. She noticed his hands trembling slightly as he scrolled through what appeared to be endless lines of code. As she poured his coffee, she observed more details. Despite his disheveled appearance, his watch was worth more than her yearly salary, and his seemingly simple t-shirt bore a subtle designer label. Yet there was something vulnerably human about him, the way his shoulders slumped, how he rubbed his temples between sips of coffee. "You look like you've had a rough night," Sarah ventured, breaking her usual professional distance. "Our kitchen makes a mean breakfast burrito. Best cure for an all-nighter I know." The man finally looked up, his eyes meeting hers with unexpected warmth. "That obvious, huh?" His laugh was gentle, tinged with exhaustion. "Been working on a critical project. Sometimes the code just won't cooperate." Without asking, Sarah brought him a glass of water with lemon and a small plate of the diner's signature banana bread, on the house. On nights like that, you need more than just coffee in your system. The man's expression shifted from surprise to genuine gratitude. As her shift progressed, Sarah kept an eye on the mysterious customer. He remained hunched over his laptop, occasionally muttering to himself and running fingers through his already messy hair. 2 hours passed, and his coffee cup never emptied thanks to Sarah's vigilant refills. Around 9 a.m., the diner's owner, Marcus Thompson, arrived for his daily inspection. His eyes narrowed at the sight of the disheveled man occupying a prime booth during the morning rush. Sarah intercepted Marcus before he could approach the table. "He's been working since dawn," she explained. "Ordered plenty and hasn't disturbed anyone." Marcus frowned but moved on to his office. Sarah returned to her duties, weaving between tables with practiced ease, but something about the mysterious customer's intensity kept drawing her attention. At one point, she noticed him struggling with the diner's spotty Wi-Fi, frustration evident in his clenched jaw. Making another executive decision, Sarah approached his table and slipped him a piece of paper. "It's the password to our staff network. Much faster than the guest one." She lowered her voice, "Just don't tell anyone. Management likes to keep it secret." The man's eyes widened with surprise and gratitude. "You're a lifesaver," he whispered, quickly typing in the password. His entire demeanor changed as his work gained momentum. Just before the lunch rush began, the man finally closed his laptop. Sarah watched as he stretched, a satisfied smile replacing his earlier stress. He approached the counter to pay, pulling out a credit card that made Sarah's eyes widen. She'd never seen that particular shade of metal before. "Thank you," he said, his voice carrying genuine warmth. "You have no idea how much your kindness helped today. Sometimes the smallest gestures make the biggest difference." Sarah shrugged, maintaining her professional smile. "Just doing my job, sir. Hope you got your project sorted out." As she processed his payment, Marcus emerged from his office, his face contorting in shock as he glanced at the credit card terminal. Before Sarah could understand what was happening, the mysterious customer had left, leaving behind a tip that made her head spin, $5,000 on a $27 bill. Around 9 a.m., the diner's owner, Marcus Thompson, arrived for his daily inspection. His eyes narrowed at the sight of the disheveled man occupying a prime booth during the morning rush. Sarah intercepted Marcus before he could approach the table. "He's been working since dawn," she explained. "Ordered plenty and hasn't disturbed anyone." Marcus frowned but moved on to his office. Sarah returned to her duties, weaving between tables with practiced ease, but something about the mysterious customer's intensity kept drawing her attention. At one point, she noticed him struggling with the diner's spotty Wi-Fi, frustration evident in his clenched jaw. Making another executive decision, Sarah approached his table and slipped him a piece of paper. "It's the password to our staff network. Much faster than the guest one." She lowered her voice, "Just don't tell anyone. Management likes to keep it secret." The man's eyes widened with surprise and gratitude. "You're a lifesaver," he whispered, quickly typing in the password. His entire demeanor changed as his work gained momentum. Just before the lunch rush began, the man finally closed his laptop. Sarah watched as he stretched, a satisfied smile replacing his earlier stress. He approached the counter to pay, pulling out a credit card that made Sarah's eyes widen. She'd never seen that particular shade of metal before. "Thank you," he said, his voice carrying genuine warmth. "You have no idea how much your kindness helped today. Sometimes the smallest gestures make the biggest difference." Sarah shrugged, maintaining her professional smile. "Just doing my job, sir. Hope you got your project sorted out." As she processed his payment, Marcus emerged from his office, his face contorting in shock as he glanced at the credit card terminal. Before Sarah could understand what was happening, the mysterious customer had left, leaving behind a tip that made her head spin, $5,000 on a $27 bill. The next morning, Sarah arrived at work to find Marcus waiting with a grim expression. Her register access had been revoked, and security footage of her sharing the Wi-Fi password had been reviewed. Despite her protests about customer service and human decency, Marcus remained unmoved. By 5:30 a.m., Sarah found herself standing in the parking lot, holding a cardboard box containing her nameplate and family photos from her locker. As she walked to her bus stop, her phone buzzed with notifications. Local news websites were exploding with speculation about why Elon Musk had spent his morning working from a downtown diner. Social media was ablaze with photos taken by other patrons, most featuring Sarah in the background, dutifully refilling coffee and sharing small acts of kindness. She sank onto the bus stop bench, her world spinning. The mysterious customer's identity finally clicked into place, along with the realization that her simple acts of compassion had just cost her the job she desperately needed to support her daughter. What Sarah didn't know, as she fought back tears at that bus stop, was that her story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning, and the next 24 hours would redefine everything she thought she knew about karma, kindness, and the power of being human in an increasingly digital world. The fallout from Sarah's encounter with Elon Musk rippled through her life like a stone thrown into still water. By noon, her phone had become a constant buzz of notifications, reporters, social media managers, and curious strangers all vying for her attention. The small apartment she shared with her daughter Emma became a fortress against the growing media storm. Local news vans camped outside her building, their satellite dishes reaching toward the sky like mechanical flowers. Sarah watched from behind curtained windows as reporters interviewed her neighbors, each eager to share their perspective on the Diner Angel, as social media had dubbed her. The Lucky Star Diner faced its own chaos. Protesters gathered outside, holding signs condemning Marcus Thompson's decision to fire Sarah. #Justice for Sarah trended nationally, accompanied by countless stories of workplace injustice and small acts of kindness. The diner's Yelp page crashed under the weight of negative reviews. Sarah's former coworkers were divided. Some, like veteran waitress Maria Rodriguez, publicly defended her actions. "Sarah did what any decent person would do," Maria told a local reporter. She saw someone who needed help and helped them. Since when is that a firing offense? Others, fearful for their jobs, remained silent or sided with management. Marcus Thompson attempted damage control, releasing a statement about protocol violations and security concerns. His words only fueled the controversy. Tech forums dissected his claims about the staff Wi-Fi password, pointing out that sharing it posed minimal security risk. Corporate cybersecurity experts weighed in, further undermining his position. The story took an unexpected turn when Sarah's past emerged. Journalists discovered she had graduated summa cum laude from MIT with a degree in computer science, before her life took a series of unfortunate turns. A medical crisis with her daughter had forced her to abandon a promising tech career, leading to mounting debt and eventually the waitressing job at Lucky Star. This revelation transformed the narrative. No longer was it just about a kind waitress, it became a story about wasted potential, healthcare inequality, and the struggles of single parents in the tech industry. Silicon Valley executives began sharing their own stories of setbacks and recoveries. Sarah's daughter Emma, wise beyond her 12 years, handled the attention with remarkable grace. "Mom always says kindness matters more than rules," she told her closest friend during a video call. The conversation, recorded and shared without permission, went viral, adding another layer to the unfolding drama. By evening, Sarah's LinkedIn profile had exploded. Job offers flooded her inbox, from small startups to major tech companies. Each promised to value her humanity alongside her skills. Yet Sarah felt paralyzed, overwhelmed by choices she never expected to have. Her former professors from MIT reached out, offering support and connections. One email particularly stood out: "You were always exceptional, Sarah. Not just in coding, but in understanding that technology serves humanity, not the other way around." The pressure mounted as media outlets speculated about her next move. Would she sue the diner? Accept a high-paying tech job? Start her own company? Sarah's silence only intensified the public's interest. As night fell, Sarah sat with Emma on their small balcony, sharing a pizza and watching the city lights flicker. "What do you think I should do, sweetie?" she asked, more to herself than her daughter. Emma, focused on a particularly stringy piece of cheese, replied with childhood simplicity, "Remember when my robot broke last year? You said sometimes things have to break so we can build them better." A notification lit up Sarah's phone, another interview request, this time from a major tech publication. But below it was a message that made her heart stop. It came from an encrypted email address, its contents brief but life-altering. "Thank you for reminding me why I started all this. Let's talk tomorrow. E." The message included a private number and a time, 8 a.m. Sarah stared at her phone, then at the news vans below, then at her daughter peacefully doing homework. In 24 hours, she had gone from anonymous waitress to the center of a national conversation about kindness, technology, and human dignity. As she helped Emma get ready for bed, Sarah reflected on the strange twist her life had taken. The same hands that had poured countless cups of coffee now held possibilities she thought were forever lost. But with those possibilities came questions. What was the true price of viral fame? How does one navigate sudden visibility while staying true to oneself? And most importantly, what example did she want to set for Emma? The night grew deeper, and Sarah found herself unable to sleep. She opened her laptop, the same one she'd used for coding projects in college, and began typing. If tomorrow would bring a conversation that could change her life, she wanted to be prepared. Lines of code flowed from her fingers, muscle memory from her MIT days, returning like an old friend. As she coded, Sarah thought about all the other people out there, the ones working double shifts, the ones who had to choose between dreams and duties, the ones whose simple acts of kindness went unnoticed. Maybe, just maybe, her story could become something bigger than herself. The media circus outside her building continued into the night, but Sarah barely noticed. She was too busy building something new, one line of code at a time, preparing for a tomorrow that held both promise and uncertainty. Whatever happened next, she knew one thing for certain: kindness had not cost her her job, it had opened a door she thought was forever closed. The morning of Sarah's scheduled call with Elon Musk dawned with unusual clarity. She had spent the night preparing not just mentally, but with pages of ideas and code that flowed from her renewed connection with her tech background. At precisely 8 a.m., her phone buzzed with a call from an unlisted number. "Sarah Chen?" The familiar voice from the diner spoke, but this time with clear purpose. "I hope you don't mind, but I've spent the last 24 hours looking into your background. MIT's youngest female graduate in computer science. 3 published papers on AI ethics. Then you disappeared from the tech world." Sarah took a deep breath, watching Emma board her school bus from the window. "Life doesn't always follow a straight path, Mr. Musk. Call me Elon. And that's exactly why I'm calling. Your algorithm for ethical AI decision-making, the one from your thesis, I've had my team reviewing it. It's exactly what we've been missing in our latest project." The conversation shifted into technical territory, with Sarah surprising herself by easily keeping pace with complex concepts she hadn't touched in years. As they talked, Elon revealed his true purpose. He wanted to create a new division focused on humanitarian applications of AI technology, and he wanted Sarah to lead it. "Not just because of yesterday," he clarified. "Your thesis predicted ethical challenges we're only now facing. Combining that with your evident humanity, it's a rare combination, Sarah." The offer was staggering: a leadership position, complete creative control, and a salary that would ensure Emma's future. But there was a catch: they needed her to start immediately, which meant relocating to Texas. As Elon laid out the details, Sarah's mind raced. The opportunity was beyond anything she'd imagined, but the ethical implications weighed heavily. Would accepting make her story seem orchestrated? What about the broader conversation her firing had sparked about workplace dignity? "I have a counter-proposal," Sarah found herself saying, surprising both Elon and herself. "Instead of joining Tesla directly, what if we created something new? A foundation focused on identifying and supporting people who've had to step back from tech careers due to life circumstances." There was a long pause on the line. "Go on," Elon said, interest evident in his voice. Sarah outlined her vision: a program that would provide not just funding, but comprehensive support for people re-entering tech after personal setbacks. "The kind of support I wish I'd had," she explained. "Childcare, healthcare, flexible working arrangements, removing the barriers that force talented people to choose between their careers and their families." As she spoke, she pulled up the code she'd written overnight: a platform for connecting candidates with resources and opportunities. "I can show you a prototype." For the next hour, they dove deep into technical specifications and social implications. The conversation evolved from a job offer into a partnership discussion. Elon's initial interest in Sarah's technical skills transformed into excitement about the potential social impact. "You're right," he finally said. "This is bigger than one job or one company. But it needs someone who understands both the technical and human elements. Someone who's lived it." The foundation would be independent, but with significant backing from Musk's companies and other tech giants. Sarah would have the freedom to build it according to her vision, while still consulting on the AI ethics projects that had initially caught Elon's interest. As they worked out details, Sarah's phone continuously buzzed with messages from reporters and well-wishers. One text caught her eye, from Marcus, her former boss, attempting to offer her job back amid the growing PR crisis. "There's one more thing," Sarah said toward the end of the call. "The diner. I don't want revenge, but I want to use this situation to highlight workplace dignity issues." Elon chuckled. "Already handled. My team's buying the Lucky Star chain. Planning to transform it into a model for ethical workplace practices and technical training programs. Interested in having a say in that too?" By the time they ended the call, Sarah's life had transformed beyond recognition. But more importantly, she had found a way to turn her personal story into something that could help others facing similar challenges. Emma returned from school to find her mother surrounded by notebooks and laptop screens, her eyes alight with purpose. "Mom, are we going to be rich now?" she asked, having heard snippets of gossip at school. Sarah pulled her daughter close. Better than that, sweetie. We're going to help make things right for a lot of people. That evening, as news of the foundation broke, social media exploded again. But this time, the story wasn't just about one act of kindness or injustice, it was about systemic change and second chances. Sarah stayed up late again that night, but not from worry. She was coding again, building the foundation's platform, her fingers flying over the keyboard as if the years away had never happened. This time, though, she wasn't just writing code, she was writing a new chapter in her life, and potentially, in the story of how technology and humanity could better intersect. The next day would bring meetings with lawyers, developers, and HR specialists. But for now, Sarah sat in her small apartment, watching the city lights flicker, knowing that sometimes the best opportunities come disguised as challenges, and the most important code isn't written in any programming language, it's written in acts of kindness. The transformation from waitress to tech foundation leader took Sarah Chin down an unexpected path of personal and professional metamorphosis. Her first official day as executive director of the Second Chances in Tech Foundation, SCIT, began in a temporary office space in downtown, worlds away from the chrome-edged counters of Lucky Star Diner. The foundation's launch garnered international attention, with tech giants beyond Tesla pledging support. Microsoft, Google, and Apple all committed resources, recognizing the potential in Sarah's vision of reclaiming lost talent in the tech industry. Her inbox overflowed with stories from people who'd faced similar circumstances, brilliant minds sidelined by life's unexpected turns. Emma adapted to their new reality with remarkable resilience. The private school scholarship was an unexpected blessing, but Sarah made sure her daughter understood the value of their previous life. "Remember where we came from," she'd say during their morning drives, passing the Lucky Star Diner, now undergoing renovation as the first of many tech training cafes. The foundation's first initiative, Code and Coffee, transformed traditional diners into hybrid spaces, serving food by day while hosting coding workshops by night. Sarah insisted on hiring former service industry workers as the first participants, recognizing the untapped potential in people society often overlooked. Maria Rodriguez, Sarah's former coworker, became the first success story. At 45, she completed the foundation's intensive coding bootcamp while continuing to work morning shifts. Her first app, designed to help service workers track tips and schedules, became a surprise hit on the App Store. Sarah's leadership style reflected her unique journey. She maintained an open-door policy and often worked alongside program participants, debugging code and sharing coffee just as she'd done at the diner. The press dubbed her management approach compassionate tech, and Harvard Business Review published a case study on SIT's organizational culture. The foundation's headquarters finally opened 6 months later, a renovated industrial space where exposed brick met cutting-edge technology. Sarah insisted on including a fully functional diner on the ground floor, staffed by program participants learning to code. "Sometimes the best innovations happen over a plate of eggs," she'd tell visitors. Collaboration with Elon Musk continued, but on her terms. The AI ethics project they'd initially discussed evolved into an industry-wide initiative. Sarah's team developed algorithms that helped companies identify and support employees at risk of leaving the tech field due to personal circumstances. The hardest challenges were unexpected. Some critics claimed the foundation's success was mere luck, a viral story turned into a publicity stunt. Others questioned whether service industry workers could truly transition into tech roles. Sarah answered skeptics not with words but results. Within a year, SCIT had helped over 500 people return to or enter the tech industry. Emma's perspective on their journey became part of the foundation's narrative. Now 13, she started a blog about being the diner kid whose mom went viral. Her posts about watching her mother's transformation resonated with other children of career changers, spawning a junior coding program called Next Gen Tech. The anniversary of Sarah's firing approached, and with it came an opportunity for reflection. The Lucky Star Diner chain, now employee-owned and tech-enabled, had become a model for workplace innovation. Marcus Thompson, her former boss, had ironically become a student in one of SIT's programs, learning to code alongside his former employees. Sarah celebrated the anniversary by working a shift at the original diner, now a gleaming symbol of transformation. As she poured coffee for a new generation of dreamers, students, workers, and entrepreneurs alike, she reflected on how a simple act of kindness had catalyzed such profound change. That evening, during a board meeting, Sarah proposed the foundation's most ambitious project yet, a nationwide network of tech training centers disguised as traditional diners. People feel comfortable in diners, she explained. It's where barriers break down, where real conversations happen. Why not make them spaces where dreams can rebuild too? The project, dubbed Silicon Diner, received unanimous approval and widespread industry support. It represented everything Sarah had learned about combining technology with humanity, opportunity with accessibility, and innovation with compassion. As she drove home that night, Emma sleeping in the passenger seat, Sarah passed dozens of people working late in coffee shops and diners. Each one, she knew, had a story, had potential, had dreams temporarily set aside. Her foundation couldn't help everyone, but it had created a model for how technology companies could better serve humanity. The day ended where everything had begun, with a cup of coffee and a simple truth: sometimes the biggest transformations start with the smallest acts of kindness. Sarah's story had evolved from a viral moment into a movement, proving that second chances, when properly supported, could change not just individual lives but entire industries. The true transformation, however, wasn't in the headlines or success stories. It was in the quiet moments, debugging code with a former waitress, helping a single-parent balance school pickups with Python classes, or watching Emma teach other kids how to build their first websites. This was the real legacy of Sarah's journey, not just changing lives, but changing how the tech industry viewed humanity itself. The ripple effects of Sarah Chen's story and the Second Chances in Tech Foundation, SCIT, began transforming the intersection of technology and social change in unprecedented ways. 1 year into operations, SIT's impact extended far beyond its original mission, creating waves across industries and communities. The Silicon Diner concept had expanded to 50 locations nationwide, each serving as a hub for tech education and community development. Traditional restaurants started approaching SCIT, eager to implement similar hybrid models. The foundation's success challenged conventional wisdom about workplace training and career transitions. Sarah's vision of combining food service with tech education proved revolutionary. During morning hours, these establishments operated as regular diners, but from afternoon to evening, they transformed into coding academies and tech incubators. The model created a unique ecosystem where seasoned tech professionals naturally mentored newcomers over coffee and pancakes. The foundation's data showed remarkable outcomes. 78% of program participants successfully transitioned into tech careers, with an average salary increase of 312%. More significantly, the retention rate for these career changers exceeded industry standards, with 92% remaining in tech roles after 2 years. Media attention shifted from Sarah's personal story to the broader societal impact. The New York Times ran a feature titled "The Diner Revolution: How Coffee Shops Became Tech's New Frontier." Forbes listed SCIT among the most innovative social enterprises, highlighting its unique approach to addressing both tech talent shortages and economic mobility. Corporate partnerships expanded beyond initial supporters. Companies began redesigning their workspaces to include diner-style areas, recognizing how casual environments fostered innovation and collaboration. Tech giants introduced coffee chat coding sessions, mimicking the informal learning environment that made SIT's programs so successful. The foundation's influence reached government policy. Several states adopted SIT's training model for workforce development programs. The Department of Labor commissioned a study on the diner-to-developer pipeline, examining how this unconventional approach could address national skills gaps. Emma's Next Gen Tech program evolved into a nationwide movement. Young people, inspired by the blend of traditional service work and cutting-edge technology, started viewing service industry jobs as potential stepping stones rather than dead ends. The program expanded to include weekend workshops where kids taught senior citizens basic tech skills over breakfast. Sarah's former diner colleagues experienced their own transformations. Maria Rodriguez, now a senior developer, led its Spanish-language programming initiative. Even Marcus Thompson, the former owner who fired Sarah, became an advocate for workplace reform after completing the program himself. The foundation's success attracted international attention. Delegations from Europe, Asia, and Africa visited to study the model. Plans for international expansion began, with pilot programs launching in London, Tokyo, and Cape Town. Each location adapted the concept to local culture while maintaining the core principle of combining community spaces with technical education. Research universities began studying the SCIT effect. Sociologists noted how the program broke down traditional barriers between blue-collar and white-collar work. Psychologists observed how familiar environments reduced learning anxiety among career changers. Economics professors analyzed how the model could address wealth inequality. The foundation's impact on the tech industry's culture proved equally significant. Companies partnering with SCIT reported improved workplace diversity, more innovative problem-solving, and stronger community connections. The compassionate coding movement, inspired by Sarah's leadership style, gained traction across Silicon Valley. Environmental benefits emerged unexpectedly. The hybrid use of restaurant spaces reduced urban development needs, while flexible working hours decreased commuter traffic. SCIT locations became models for sustainable business practices, combining social impact with environmental responsibility. As the foundation's influence grew, Sarah remained grounded in its original mission. She still coded alongside students, served occasional coffee, and maintained the human touch that sparked the movement. Her regular breakfast with Sarah sessions, where anyone could share ideas over coffee and code, became legendary in tech circles. The ripple effect reached far beyond career transitions. Families reported stronger connections as parents and children learned together. Communities experienced revitalization as tech opportunities became more accessible. The foundation's success challenged assumptions about who could succeed in tech and how they could get there. By year's end, SCIT had become more than a foundation, it was a movement redefining the relationship between technology, community, and opportunity. The ripple effects continued to spread, touching lives far beyond the tech industry, proving that sometimes the most powerful innovations come from simply reimagining the familiar. This transformation showed that innovation wasn't just about new technology, it was about new ways of thinking about human potential and community connection. The ripple effects of one act of kindness had become waves of change, reshaping how society approached education, career development, and the very nature of work itself. 2 years after the viral moment that changed everything, Sarah Chen stood at a podium before a packed auditorium at MIT, delivering the commencement speech to the graduating class. The legacy of her journey had evolved far beyond a single act of kindness at a diner. SCIT had grown into a global phenomenon, with over 200 locations across 15 countries. The foundation's model had been adopted by governments, corporations, and educational institutions worldwide. But more importantly, it had sparked a fundamental shift in how society viewed career transitions and technological accessibility. Sarah began her speech with a simple question: what happens when we stop seeing jobs as endpoints and start seeing them as chapters in our stories? The graduates listened intently as she shared not just her story, but the stories of thousands who had found their way into tech through unconventional paths. The Lucky Star Diner chain, now employee-owned and tech-enabled, had become a case study in Harvard Business School. Its innovative profit-sharing model, combining traditional service industry work with tech education, had created a new paradigm for business ownership. Former waiters and cooks now held patents, founded startups, and led development teams while maintaining their connections to the community. Emma, now 14, had become an advocate for tech education in her own right. Her next-gen tech program had expanded to 500 schools nationwide, breaking down barriers between social classes and generations. She'd recently won a national science fair with a project that used AI to optimize diner operations while preserving the human touch that made them special. The foundation's impact extended beyond career transitions. SCIT had become a catalyst for social change, addressing issues from gender equality in tech to urban development. The Silicon Diner model had revitalized struggling communities, turning food deserts into tech oases without displacing existing residents. Research showed that SCIT graduates had a unique advantage in the industry. Their combination of service industry experience and technical skills made them exceptional problem solvers and team leaders. Companies reported that teams led by SCIT alumni consistently outperformed traditional tech teams in user empathy and practical innovation. Sarah's collaboration with Elon Musk had evolved into a broader partnership. Together, they had launched initiatives to make space technology more accessible to underserved communities. The first SCIT graduate had recently joined SpaceX's senior engineering team, proving that the path from serving coffee to serving humanity could reach as far as the stars. The Foundation's compassionate coding methodology had been adopted by major universities and tech companies worldwide. It emphasized that technical excellence and human empathy were not just compatible, but synergistic. The approach had led to breakthrough innovations in AI ethics, accessible technology, and community-centered development. Marcus Thompson, the former diner owner who had fired Sarah, had become one of SCIT's most passionate advocates. His journey from skeptic to supporter became a powerful testament to the possibility of change. He now led the Foundation's initiative to help small business owners integrate tech education into their operations. As Sarah concluded her MIT speech, she shared a vision for the future. Technology isn't just about what we can build, it's about who we can become. Every diner counter can be a classroom, every coffee shop a launching pad for dreams, and every person a potential innovator. The legacy of Sarah's story had become a testament to the power of second chances and the importance of maintaining humanity in an increasingly digital world. SCIT's success proved that innovation didn't require sacrificing compassion, and that the most powerful technology was the one that brought people together. Looking out at the sea of graduating faces, Sarah ended with words that encapsulated her journey. The greatest lines of code we'll ever write are the ones that help others rewrite their stories. Remember, every cup of coffee could be the beginning of someone's revolution. As the applause thundered through the auditorium, Sarah caught Emma's proud smile in the front row. Their journey had come full circle, back to MIT, where Sarah's tech dreams had first taken flight. But this time, they weren't just part of the story, they had helped rewrite the entire narrative of what was possible when kindness met opportunity. The legacy continued to grow, not just in lines of code or business metrics, but in countless individual stories of transformation. Sarah Chen's viral moment had become a movement, proving that sometimes the most powerful algorithms are written not in programming languages, but in acts of human kindness that change lives one cup of coffee at a time.